be, but we are into Champion Select as Aime going to be taking our blue side for game number 1 of this best of 3 series. Already banning away the Lissandra and the Karma, away from Easy Hoon and Caveman, as the Shen and LeBlanc have been taken away from Aime. And of course, this is very important for Aime as well. If they win this, based on the loss that WE just suffered, they can once again tie for that second position here in the group.
Yeah, they certainly can. And, Aime keeps knocking on that door. They never seem to really want to go away. And also got to remember that they're also blocking Vici. I mean, if Vici is tied up with LGD, that puts a whole host of pressure on an inconsistent team.
Yeah, most certainly does. And of course, remember, if that also happens, Aime has managed to win this. They're only 1 victory behind RNG as well. So can theoretically make that top spot. But we're not there yet. We're going to get back into this Champ Select as Malzahar and Vladimir are understandably banned away as our last 2 bans. And Aime now looking for something like potentially a Sivir for that first pick. We'll see what they decide to take away as Braum is also available.
I want to know whether either of these mid laners really have been picking up the Syndra, because Syndra to me just seems like such a powerful pick, especially, I was saying, like, the Sivir Syndra compositions to me are just really potent at the moment. Stuff's going everywhere in team fights. There's way too much to concentrate as a backline carry. I mean, you have ricochets bouncing through team fights, you have 3 orbs, sometimes up to 7 orbs on the battlefield at once, being scattered everywhere. And LGD are just continually showing that this champion is definitely potent and should be realized to be back in the meta. One weakness of it was always mobility, but with Ghost and Sivir and Karma running around Summoner's Rift, that seems to be a thing of the past. And see how many other mid laners can jump on the hype train.
Yeah, it was of course Republic that had a go at the champion as well, and things didn't go very well at all. So you're exactly right, double-edged sword, but Vici going to lock down a lot of knock-ups in the Alistair and Rek'Sai, not giving away their hand too much either. There's a Voidless now thinking about going towards the Gragas.
And if you think historically, Syndra always been a double-edged sword. I mean, you had people in the North American LCS or even European LCS like Bjergsen playing it, and you would gank him and you would get a double kill. Then you would see other people pick up the champion and just get camped in lane relentlessly and, would eventually feed out. It's always been like Cassiopeia in that sense that, when you have 3 big damage spells, as well as a heck of utility, whilst you are very low mobility, you can turn these ganks effectively.
Is a champion that you certainly have to sort of build a composition around and take care of to get past those weaknesses. You can see Aime, Amazing J, thinking about the gangplank towards the top side of the map, unless Bayami wants to try his hand at it. Feels like an Amazing J champion, as Taric is locked away, as well as the GP.
Yeah, so GP Taric as well as Sivir. This is, once again, 2 big AoE crit threats there, as well as the invulnerability that Gangplank lends for what is a squishy, tankless lineup at this point in time. I really like Taric with the 550 range comps. I always talk about Sivir and 550 range. What that means is if you go Cassiopeia, Taric kind of nullifies the fact that you can't hit turrets safely, or, a team can really kite you out with, I was going to say, something like a Victor, something that builds a Rylai's Crystal Scepter and can really lay down that poke. Varus is another champion that you try and play against these 550 range.
Yeah.
Instead, what you do now is you just grab the Hecarim, speed him up, you run him in there, you get the Taric ult going, and no one can really stand against what is so much potent damage.
Especially when you've got so much turret damage as well. So the duration of that ultimate, about all they need in order to take down those turrets. And you can see Aime already had a look at the horse, but Victor and Na have been locked away here for Vici. Of course, a long-time Na fan, and Easy Hoon has played most of his games on that Victor so far here in the LPL.
And, Victor got hit, and we were expecting it to fall a little bit out of favor. Easy Hoon's a really good Victor player, however, because his spatial awareness on Summoner's Rift is just, honestly, second to none. He is criticized in the past of, playing things like Ziggs and Victor, very kite back heavy. But I do think that since coming to the LPL has learnt when he has to full commit and, try and blow someone up. Still isn't as solid as I'm sure Vici would have hoped him to be when they did pick him up from that SKT lineup. But, is continuing to make headroad into it. And wow, actually, they're not listening to a 550 at all. I mean, Twist of Fate will well and truly open a map like this.
I actually really like it as well in conjunction with the cannon barrage coming out of the gangplank towards the top side of the map. They'll just have so much global pressure with this composition. And we've seen Aime actually utilize gangplank fantastically well in denying turret takes with that cannon barrage as well, really messing up the map. Is now Vici looking for an AD carry.
Yeah, and, whenever Gangplank is strong, it just reminds me of a time when, whoa, that's a quick lock-in, when Rumble was dominating top lane. And had these zones that you couldn't enter because of Electro Harpoons and Flame Spitter, and then also had that big ultimate. Gangplank, a very AD version of that with big AoE crits, but follows a similar theory.
I do like it. I also love it in conjunction with the Gragas as well. There's just so much disruption, and like you said, zone control, areas that you can't go. Well, a Voidless is going to put you in those areas whether you like it or not. We'll see whether this Gangplank is going to work out. Yeah, you're exactly right. The Kog'Maw was locked in an instant. It's not necessarily a powerful lane, but my god, if he makes it to late game, things could be a problem.
And the other thing is, you know, Alistar turns a lot of ganking lanes in pretty good effect. So if Dandy can get down there and Caveman's able to set up the gank, doesn't really matter what the Kog'Maw is going to do. Has execute damage at level 6, has a relatively cheap spike with the Wit's End, which we've been seeing a lot. And that seems to be the thing about Kog'Maw. If you can get a cheap spike, it used to be Sheen, then we saw a lot of Guinsoo's Kog'Maw, now we're seeing Wit's End. If Kog'Maw's first spike comes before the other 80 carries, he is in the meta, he is popular, he's in vogue. And, you know, I love seeing him in the meta.
Well, we'll see whether he's going to work out this game for Vici as the coaches shake hands. Let's get into game number 1 between Vici and Aime. Thank you very much, Dandy, and here we are onto the Rift for game number 1 between Vici and Aime. First dragon is going to be that Cloud Drake. Might see it ignored for a little while, although it has been buffed somewhat. Where do you think the dragons sit now, Spawn, as far as priority, now that the Cloud Drake is a little bit better?
Yeah, I honestly think because of how much turret damage is being focused into team composition now, that maybe even Mountain Drake has fallen away a little bit, you know? I think that Infernal is still definitely the best late game dragon. I don't really think people argue that all too much. When you have poke compositions, I value Ocean probably higher than most. But I think that Ocean, Cloud, as well as a Mountain kind of have a spot in League of Legends right now. Where they're okay, they're pretty good. You want to pick those ones up. But Infernal, I mean, I would sell a sibling for one of those early games in most cases.
And I know how much you like your siblings as well, Spawn. So that is a big deal statement to make. There's Jinjiao Road down here towards the bottom side of the map. Looks like we are going to have standard lanes by the looks here at a minute 20. We'll see whether that continues. As Lung and Dandy going to start on the Krug camp towards the top. So everything quiet on Summoner's Rift to start this one off. And we'll see whether Aime, true to their style, are going to put the pressure on earlier. Whether Vici's going to be able to get through it, get to these late game fights and close out that way.
You know, lots of biscuits picked up on Summoner's Rift here, Atlas, which means, you know, we're going to have some Thunderlords and stuff going on. The bottom lane is going to be really interesting because we've seen Taric absolutely dominate some lanes and then fall into uselessness. I mean, Masters Taric especially really did not impress me when he pulled it out. So looking forward to seeing what Rogue can do with it. Of course, is a big playmaker for Aime and needs to be a playmaker, it's important to note, because the rest of his team do very much need to follow up plays. They don't really run the aggressiveness themselves.
Yeah, we've actually seen from Road as well, when he's not on that playmaking champion, it does look like Aime don't have the option. As you can see now, it does have the Dazzle in his back pocket, and Road can speed him up to get into position for that. I do actually like the combination after level 6 for this combo. We'll see whether it is going to work out.
And, you know, it also just makes sense to run it with Sivir because Sivir's going to be putting herself in positions where the stun is effective off both targets. Yeah. I mean, if you're running it with something like, a little bit of aggression. If you're running it with something like a Jinx, that's not really going to work out in your favor, Atlas, because she's a lot further back. So maybe now we're going to have a little scuffle. I mean, that's a level 2 versus a level 1. Surprised to see Caveman not pull the trigger.
I was very perplexed. I was gearing up, ready for that headbutt pulverize, but no, it didn't happen. So far, Road just shoving minions in.
This is something that Mako and Deft used to do a lot with Sivir. I mean, just give Sivir a little bit more experience at this stage of the game. You know, get the support out of lane, use catch-up mechanics to, you know, increase the experience that you gain.
Yeah.
You saw that he missed about 3 or 4 CS. There's a big headbutt pulve.
Yeah, it is going to be the spell shield coming down, but really nice use of the pulverize at the right time there for Caveman. Nullifies it. Nothing to really come from it at all. Jinjiao still gets the mana back. The wave continues to get shoved in.
And you can see that this is one of the things that Civic can do to you, put pressure underneath the turret. But in doing that, has missed out on about 3 CS. So you have to applaud Endless and Caveman. And this is what I said. I think that this duo works very well together, as that's going to sway mid lane quite heavily.
Yeah, EasyHoon had already gone through a lot of his mana pool, but now has himself a blue buff. Will get himself to that 1,250 gold that you need for that first Hex Core upgrade a little bit faster as well, with an added 70 in his back pocket and a whole lot more mana to play with in the lane. Bamey is just going to back out of this one. So 3 CS ahead for EasyHoon, but I have a feeling that one's going to extend as he gets some free time here in this lane.
We'll see whether he's able to make that work, of course. Twisted Fate, one of the caveats is your passive gives you about an extra 6 gold. So you can fall slightly behind in lane, but you never really want to be behind pretty much a full minion wave at only 4 minutes into the piece. I mean, that's a little bit inexcusable. And a shop has had to come out of Bamey as well, so very much struggling against the pressure of the Victor.
Yeah, and in goes Caveman one more time with the headbutt pulverize on the bottom side of the map. Dazzle comes out. Caveman taking a lot of damage from that auto attack reset from Jinjiao. This IMA bottom lane staying really healthy in that exchange.
Yeah, certainly are. I mean, you can see how well Road traded back with the Alistair there. Of course, does have the Triumphant Roar, going to be able to heal up a little bit. But it looks like Jinjiao and Road are very much in control of where this creep wave is sitting at the moment, doing a good job of spacing this out.
Yeah, Voidless is towards the bottom side of the map, but about as close to mid lane on that side as he possibly can be, so not going to be coming down for anything. Just going to clear out this minion wave. Amy looking to grab himself some extra farm, taking Death Rays for it, but it is expected here in this lane against the Victor.
Ooh, and actually gets a free shop in here for a recurve bow. I mean, Jinjiao and Road going to shove this one up nice and quickly. But that is a positive out of Endless to be able to get a free shop at this stage of the game. And now with no mana, see whether Caveman can hold the wave.
Actually moving it over to the side. Dazzle's going to come out. Cute little stun. Caveman can't hold on to the minion wave. So we'll miss out on a few creeps to Zenless. But still even on that farm. Dandy's actually looking for a gank as well as Road gets headbutted back. This could be dangerous for the Taric as Dandy is coming in. Exhaust is already down. The Dazzle gets a nice double stun and he flashes himself out of the way, but there's the knock-up. Voidooz comes out, but not quite enough as Endless comes in for the auto attacks and it's locked down by Caveman for first blood.
Fantastic work out of Caveman and Endless. Not only do they sneak the back in, they time it with a gank incredibly well. Going to be able to move towards that dragon because of the Cogmore damage nice and early in this game. And that is a huge boon for Vici. If they can win the bottom side of the map as a top side of the map heavy team, it will mean great things as this game progresses.
Yeah, and we'll see whether Jinjiao and Road, against the tide now, can find their way back in. BF sword now done for Jinjiao, but it means that this Cloud Drake belongs to Vici and Dandy with a whole lot more maneuverability as he gets around this map. Will be useful trying to catch up to Bamey, who's now hit level 6. And we'll see whether that Destiny is going to be able to turn things around for Aime.
Yeah, and that might be big, right? Because, I mean, they use 3 summoner spells, and all of a sudden, if the Twisted Fate can get into bottom lane, get a double kill going, really shut down this Cogmore early, it will mean great things. I mean, that's an over-investment at that point for the kill, especially given it went over to the support. However, you have to think how hard this Victor is going to shove the middle lane. Is there actually going to be an opportunity for the Twisted Fate to get in to the rest of the map and help impact it?
Well, right now, first Hex Core upgrade comes in for EasyHoon, so that 1250 gold, relatively easy to get to. And blue buff is given over to Bamey, so not towards the bottom side of the map for the moment. Dandy going to be taking down his red buff. Of course, started towards the top side of the map. We'll be moving down bottom again relatively soon. But you can see Long just fine towards the top side of the map, but Amazing J has actually been farming out very, very effectively on the Gangplank. And remember, they've got 2 champions now that make more money than they should when they kill a creep.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, Gangplank as well as Twisted Fate, just lighten it up.
I feel like it's like an investment banking team or something like that, you know? Finances on the side of IMA right here.
I already dislike them if that's the case. However, yeah, it is really important to note that, you know, even though they gave up first blood, CS scores look relatively equal. They are going to be ahead in gold just because of that. And is something that you have to keep a track on. I mean, especially with the Gangplank. The new penetration build, he'll just one-shot Endless if he gets anywhere near him towards the end of the game because he does true damage. Gangplank is starting to terrorize professional games in solo queue like Atlas, and isn't a very fun champion to deal with in the latter stages.
Especially when you can just throw down a cannon barrage, and that does obscene amounts of damage itself.
Oh, you hate to see it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we'll ignore that one. Trust me, he can do damage, especially when you chain the barrels together.
You just need to get that diagram working correctly, you know?
But we talk about it all the time. I mean, he is a tough champion to get through the early game, but with the ultimate, just being able to lend global pressure elsewhere really does help Gangplank out. It means he can cheekily teleport back to his wave a couple of times, you know, really start that investor banking build.
It also feels a little bit like this is the calm before the storm for Aime as well. Now that they have hit those ultimates, they can pull the trigger. You can see a Voidless trying to start things off here towards the bottom side. Both mid and top can affect this.
But once again, I do want to point out that even though Aime can kill other lanes easily, I mean, if they get into bottom lane with the Twist of Fate, they can lay down the game, the Gangplank ultimate. Dandy will kill Lung or Easy Hoon's lane. If he ever gets in there, if he ever gets the knock up, there is enough damage coming out of his laners that they just straight up die. As here we go.
Yeah, Cannon Barrage comes in. Dazzle headbutted out of the way of, but brilliant Cask and a Voidless delivers the Cogmore to his waiting arms of the team.
Yeah, and we already said, I mean, if they get in there, that is very much on Caveman. Should have been playing linebacker a little bit more for his Cogmore. You have to be able to get in between him and the Gragas to be able to punt him back, but very good execution on the gank coming out of Aime.
Yeah, this is sort of one of those things where you don't have a Braum. You don't have that Unbreakable to stop the big old Cask from coming in, and a Voidless just set that one up. Of course, the Flash Body Slam was already there. A lot of CC was down. Caveman, I feel, tried his hardest. This wasn't enough. Aime just too many tools.
And it's going to be something that, you know, we're just going to we're going to see it time and time again. I mean, that's why you pick Sivir. That's why you pick Gangplank, Twist of Fate, to be able to influence that bottom side of the map, be able to keep picks like Cogmore down. They felt like they have enough protection for it in team fights. I agree, but if the laning phase goes much worse, it is going to start to tell about when Cogmore will reach that late game. You can see, because of the cheap item build, goes back, grabs a Wit's End, means that trading's a lot more efficient in this bottom lane.
Already has that one as well. So first item spike there, whereas Jinzhao has the Berserker's Greaves, so a little bit more maneuverable, but that's just a longsword to augment the BF sword that was already there as Road. He's going to get knocked up. Endless gets a Taric delivered to him. Exhaust has to go down, denies a lot of the damage, and Road is going to make it out, but it's a big summoner spell.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, being able to trade a cooldown like that just for a headbutt pulve combo, as well as a cheeky rotation out of a Void Puppy.
Yeah.
Take that one any day. The cow will now take the dog back to the lane, you know. Recess is over.
Yeah, beautiful. Jinzhao and Road are going to deliver a mini wave, but it's really good news for Vici to show that Endless and Caveman can actually shove this wave into the Sivir as well. Get some control of this map as a Voidless throws down an explosive Cask. That'll stop her back.
Exactly right. I mean, I feel like that is very poor timing out of a Voidless, however, because Cask will be needed without a Flash Body Slam if they do want to repeat gank Endless at the moment. You can see that his Flash is available, but the heal is not. And I do really think that every time the Gangplank ulti is up and available, they should be trying to make it as much about their Sivir Taric lane as possible. Even going to give the scaling advantage over to the Sivir. I mean, she gets AoE crits. And while she doesn't have the range, which you can't purchase, does tend to do very well in front-to-back comps, like the one Aime has put together.
Yeah, I feel like both late-game scaling AD carries trying to do different things this game. And it's who can create the amount of space needed for them to get that work done. And I feel like Vici have honestly set themselves up very well. I mean, Lung can play that defense mode very effectively with his big Gnar ultimate. Easy Hoon there as well can follow up with a lot of extra damage on top of that. I may have a lot to worry about, even without the Cogmore.
Yeah, I feel like if it's a going forward thing, I may have good tools, right? They have the ability to light people up with a Twisted Fate and then just run them down with the Sivir, with the Gangplank, with the Gragas. So I think that as long as they're going forward, if they get a gold lead, this should be relatively clinical. They also have a much better 1-3-1, for example. However, if you look over at Vici's lineup, they have the exact same thing. If they're ever getting the big teleport flanks, if Dandy is able to get into the back line with Lung, because they are so short range, it's going to be difficult. And Amazing Jay, you really need to stop doing that, man, because I'm trying to give you props. I'm trying to talk up how you're going to impact the late game.
He's getting his iron.
He certainly is. It's taken longer than maybe necessary. Play your custom beforehand, maybe. So, yeah, I think that, you know, both teams will be relatively happy going forward in these fights. However, it is going to be about who does get that early game advantage.
Well, Lung is actually just going to bash Amazing J against the wall. See, the clock was actually dodged. It's Vici not going to be able to head onto this Dragon, and Cannon Barrage doing a lot of work. That dazzle was massive as Easy Hoon's delivered to the team, but Chaos Storm's doing a lot of work. Bamey finds the auto attack and now looking to continue the engagement. Boydu's fantastic for the disengage, but is it going to be enough? Flash Gold card, and it's a double kill for the Twisted Fate. This is exactly what he needed, and Aime answer back.
And as I said, as soon as you're going forward, as soon as you're on the hunt, they use everything in perfect unison. I mean, the Sivir Donkey Whistle goes out, big Gangplank ultimate over the choke, and then Twisted Fate just is like, this is where they are going, guys. Let's chase them down. Vici, they got greedy. They shouldn't have started up the Dragon. They need Lung's flanking plays to be able to tank up all of this damage. As we take another look at it, I mean, look how perfectly executed this is. Flash forward.
That dazzle.
Huge cask. Knocks, honestly, everyone back, and from then on, there was nothing that they could really do to save this team fight here, Vici.
Yeah, and Road actually got his ultimate down to stop almost all of that Chaos Storm damage that came in at the same time. I think second tick landed, but that is about it. And then Easy Hoon was dead. So slight misplay. Even was still able to do the most damage for his team.
But when you're comparing that, I mean, have a look how much damage has come out of the whole IMA lineup. Pretty much 4 times.
That's 1,000 damage from a Gangplank that was on the other side of the map. Spawn.
Yeah, as I said, Equalizer, Global Equalizer, very fun to play against. And that's without any upgrades yet, Atlas. So,
just shoots it.
Glocked it.
That's how you do it. Well, when you're a little guy with a boomerang versus a dude with a big hand cannon, I know where my money's gone.
Yeah, so you say that, but you're from Australia. We have some dangerous things with little boomerangs, I feel.
I should probably know more about boomerangs, that is true. Stylistically.
As well as, I don't know, little kids in boo suit. No, what was it? Sully suits.
I don't know, I think we've reached dangerous territory. Easy Hoon is going to start off his own blue buff. Amazing J just taking care of this minion wave as it heads towards him. Lung trying to harass him as much as he can. Not been doing too well as far as denying this Gangplank farm, though. Now sitting on 3 assists. Very, very happy. Trinity Force is done. He's got his swiftness boots. It's a happy Gangplank, even if he can't hit all of the barrels.
And you have to say that, I mean, so far the use of the ultimate has been beautiful. He used it for the gank in the bottom lane, then he used it perfectly for the Dragon fight. Without Gangplank, neither of those go the way that it is planned. So really do have to give credit to Amazing J for at least his use of his R key, if not for his E and Q in unison.
He'll get those. He's just, you got to master them one after the other. But one thing I do love is the fact that Aime knew exactly what they wanted out of that Gangplank ultimate. This team is working as exactly that, as a team, to try and get this early game under wraps. Last team fight was fantastic, and this is what we expect out of them, is early pressure, proactive play, to try and get themselves these leads in the early stage of the game.
But at the same time, you really have to question what Vici is doing, because Vici know, bottom side of the map scaling. I mean, they got an early kill down there. That should be enough. From then on, Dandy's job is, camp out Long's lane, camp out Easy Hoon's lane, make sure these globals are being used in their lane to not really be able to impact that. As soon as you go into an uneven fight down bottom lane, you are expected to lose right now if you are Vici. So stop participating in that style of game. Stop trying to take global objectives like dragons. Stop trying to push up hard in lane. Na has a frozen mallet at the moment, for crying out loud. I mean, there's no way Gangplank is getting away from both a Na as well as a Rek'Sai at this stage of the game. Do you think that a lot of the attention and blame has to go back to Dandy? We were criticizing Vici for not giving him a winnable lane to gank. Well, this time he's got 2 of them, and he just hasn't visited them at all.
Yeah. Went to the one that wasn't. Managed to actually find it successfully, so not quite getting around the map just yet. We'll see whether he's going to be able to. Of course, only 17.5 minutes in, as Caveman does get a headbutt pole onto Road. He's taking a lot of damage, tries to get the exhaust down, throws out the ultimate, is going to come out, but Long gets there just in time. Jin Zhao is safe for the moment, as Cannon Barrage not doing as much as I may really want it to, and Vici, the cavalry has arrived. Endless still surviving this as well, as Long grabs himself a double kill. Voidless in trouble, the Hyper's going to go off, and that is 3 kills for the Na. And Vici say, if you guys want to out-team fight us, we'll just do it right back.
Yeah, but this time they actually get there first. I mean, Road was going for the cheeky ward past the turret, gets completely caught off guard, doesn't even get the ulti out in an effective manner. Lung is able to get down there with the ultimate already in Meganar. The stars really did align for Vici in this team fight. They'll still trade objectives for it, but now that Na is that big, you can see the damage that came out of him.
Just ridiculous.
Lung is in a position to take over this game.
He's going to be able to take down that turret as well, possibly getting Vici that gold lead as he takes that one down. Endless now has a red buff, as well as his Runan's Hurricane. Kog'Maw feeling very good this stage of the game.
And I really do have to point out, this is why people are playing Kog'Maw. Cheap spike, tons of late game damage. You know, when he's on 3 or 4 items, that's the best he gets. Doesn't need to go into things like a Last Whisper. I mean, really does just light up teams with only that available.
Yeah, mixed damage.
Yeah, mixed damage is so strong. Means that you can pick yourself into slightly skewed compositions, although this one very well balanced. Kog'Maw is such a fun champion to watch run around Summoner's Rift, especially when someone is so mechanically good. Like Endless, I mean, we've always questioned kind of his decision-making.
Yep.
Never really has been how he presses his buttons.
No. In fact, some of his Ezreal play, especially earlier in the split, have been fantastic. And one of the success stories for Vici, as they were looking better and better in the cross-conference, was the fact that this bottom lane has really come into their own. Now we'll see whether the chips put in Endless's basket are going to pay off. Is Amazing J still happy? I mean, he's got his barrels. Managed to land them that time as well.
Yeah, he thought that one out. You could see he took a while. Big breath. Okay, They are overlapping. I can see it clearly. Let's make Spawn happy. And, you know, he has got a huge 2-item spike and only 19 minutes in. So he can one-shot the backline. Everything going well for the game playing. Definitely is not him that is falling behind in this game. Just a little bit of a misplayed team fight in the bottom lane that allowed Vici to regain so much headroom.
Yeah, not too much of a problem so far for Ime. But if those team fights continue erupting on the map, then Vici will be able to take some control back. We'll need another couple. And of course, Bamey now, plenty of wave clear here in the mid lane. And with wave clear aplenty all over the map here for Ime, does look like Vici need to rely on these sort of neutral objectives to try and get themselves in, as Mountain Drake now already down to half health. Road clearing out some vision. They're not going to be able to steal the dragon, but we'll see whether Ime can get themselves a fight that they want. Cannon Barrage comes in. It's only Dandy that's sort of stuck in the pit, and they decide not to go for the fight.
But this time, much better out of Ime. I mean, Lunya's already there. His Narbar is nice and full.
Oh, knock-up comes in. A Voidless Nard into the wall. The ultimate comes down from Road, but doesn't activate in time. He's going to have it now. Has to flash himself out, but it is going to be just the free kill for Easyhoon. Now the rest of Ime a little bit out of position. Gold card onto Dandy. Not too worried about it as Rhodey's able to make it to safety, but Vici do find a pick off the back end. Yeah,
they certainly do, and they also are able to take down the mid lane turret, so, you know, very good play out of Ime, but Vici is just unrelenting at this point in the game. As I said, it was very well done. What? They're going for Baron. This is a very risky call.
Yeah, thinking about starting that one up. The Destiny's there for Bamey. They know what's going on.
Everything.
Oh, this is very scary. Barrel flies through. Dandy takes a lot of damage, but look at this Baron. It's getting melted. Dandy locks it down. Caveman headbutts Jin Zhao back in, but he flashes out to safety. But is it safe? The exhaust comes in and he gets obliterated. Amazing J now looking to try and get damage down. Massive barrels as he has managed to get his eye in there, and that does get the disengage. But Vici just forced a Baron.
Yeah, and I feel that's a great call out of Vici. I mean, we've already talked about it, but they're building team comps that do so much Baron damage at the moment in the LPL. Kog'Maw, no exception, absolutely shreds through that one. You have a Gnar there as well. And, you know, you got to take your hat off because they get one pick, a very decisive call. That's EDG-esque in the mid-game. 20 minutes hit. We can start this one up. Huge play out of Vici.
That was massive, and you can see, look at the gold bar. As Ime did manage to take control around that 15-minute mark, but it's swung all the way back around. And Vici now with the Baron ready to knock down some structures. We'll see whether they can against the wave clear of Ime.
And this is one of the things about when you're running double global comps, especially when one is a Twist of Fate and it's not a damage ultimate. If you don't get the incredibly late game of Twist of Fate where he can one-shot an 80 carry, it's about the constant CC that you can put out. Well, he's not going to be able to farm a side lane. He is going to have to just sit here and try and repel siege. And a lot of the mid-game of what you want to use Twisted Fate for is going to go to waste because they're just splitting farm between himself and Jin Zhao.
Yeah, and Vici still looking to try and grab that turret. Long split pushing on the other side, has his teleport available. Amazing J as well, but no flash there for the Gangplank. Possibly in danger. As you can hear. Long, very loud when he's in Mega Gnar form. Barrels coming in, so Amazing J able to clear out the wave, but Endless doing the same thing here in the mid, and these Baron up creeps difficult to deal with, especially for Bamey. Jin Zhao's boomerangs helping. This tower slowly but surely taking damage.
And they're actually using Dandy to start up the 1-3-1. That's very clever. I mean, Rek'Sai can technically respond to the global pressure of the Twisted Fate. Now they've sent him down into the bottom lane. It's a diveable position, especially if it's another misuse of Road's ultimate.
Yeah, Vici actually looking to potentially collapse here. Caveman, of course, with the Unbreakable Will, a lot of dive pressure, and Aime, they recognize it, give away the outer turret in the mid lane as the first one that goes down here for this Baron buff.
And that's because of both Lung and Danny's positioning. I mean, Lung sitting there threatening with nearly a Mega Gnar. Danny's in the Raptor pit. If you approach either side to try and defend that turret, you are going to fall down so ridiculously fast. And getting a tank accelerated in this team composition where you are, I mean, threatening dives across the map is very good for Vici. I mean, have a look at how big Lung is at this stage. He's pretty much completed 3 items.
Yeah.
Not making it any easier for Amazing J to split push against him, and the team fights just get rougher and rougher.
Amazing J now thinking, I just want to be killing minions and avoiding Lung, I believe. So far has been able to do it relatively effectively. Right now doesn't have a big Gnar to deal with, but that Spirit Visage that you were talking about just came in. Has himself now a cloth armor as well. We'll see whether he's going to that Guardian Angel as the 4th item, something like that.
Maybe have the collapse here first. IMA, they're looking for Dandy.
Just going to clear out the vision. Pink Ward goes down, but Dandy's still staying around, knows that his team has so much pressure right now on the map, and they just steal away the red buff.
Yeah, Cavalry came in time that time around, and you can see that they don't really want to overextend into dangerous territory. Whilst they are only 3,000 gold down, it is this point of the game that Endless is pretty much at his strongest. And Jin Jiao is still waiting for the Infinity Edge to come through to be able to match power with Kog'Maw. So they should just continue to seed objectives, at least for the next couple of minutes. Baron, thankfully, has expired, so that's not going to be any pressure.
Yeah, Bamey, of course, can now deal with minion waves that are coming in as well from Vici. But Lung's still going to throw them in there. And what this has done is just open up the map for Vici. The whole bottom side jungle now belongs to them, and this gold lead will just continue to move into their favor as they clear things out.
And look how nice they are. I mean, Easy Hoon leash in the Gromp. Endless gives him the blue buff over. That was honestly beautiful. That was quite cute.
He's just walking the dog. Amazing Jay going to take a Gromp for himself, of course. Doesn't get anyone to leash it for him.
He's
pretty
riding
lonely
solo
over
this
side.
game, yeah.
Yeah. He is a pirate, though. I mean, they're used to that. It's one of those things. Dandy finds a Voidless. Does wander himself out of the way, and vision control is being regained by Aime towards the bottom side. Slight respite. Reset time here for Aime, and we'll see whether they actually can get themselves back into a good position here this game. 4,000 gold is approximately the damage. But that should be more. I mean, we were talking about the investment banking, and it's working out here for the Gangplank and Twisted Fate. Both of them behind in farm. Not by that much. You can see that extra money that they're making from those passives will be quite large as the Voidless makes his way into this pit. Cannon Barrage comes down. He steals the Cloud Drake and flashes himself out. So Dragon's gain for Aime. That is now 50 movement speed that they get with their double.
That was actually a really great play. I mean, they dropped the Gangplank ulti as well because they saw that Lung had rotated down. That's a heck of a lot of burst damage coming out of Death's Daughter. So they are able to pick up the free objective, but now what have they used for it? I mean, Gangplank ulti no longer there. Can they really afford to defend these turrets? Lung fishing for Mega Gnar.
Yeah, looking for the barrels here as well. Out of Amazing J as Dandy does tunnel his way in, gets stunned up. There's the explosive cast, but doesn't find Easy Hoon like they wanted it to.
Just clipped a wall there, Easy Hoon. That could have been a heck of a lot worse if he was any further forward. So Vici, they do escape for now. We'll see whether, now that that's another big ultimate down, if they just go towards Baron, rush that objective one more time. We've already seen that it can work out for them.
Already prepping their sidewaves here as well, so it does feel like it. Endless going to shove this one out. You can see Lung heading towards the bottom side. Teleport at the ready. We'll be able to grab that. Possibly head back to the shop. See whether he can actually purchase anything. And look to once again set up because that Baron buff went down fast before. Could imagine that after they used it to get a whole bunch of money, it's only going to be worse the second time.
And you know, Vici, they need to get some recalls in here. A little bit of lazy play. They need to get rid of the Doran's ring, get rid of the Doran's shield and the blade, pick up some pink wards. their composition just does neutral objectives so incredibly fast, and that's where they need to be pressuring right now, looking for a pick. Instead, they really are clumped up as a death ball. They don't have good enough vision control. I mean, Ime has done a terrific job of maintaining, scuttle crabs and pretty shallow pinks, but enough to retain control of the area. So really do feel like this should be a time where Vici is looking for some more dominance.
A lot of pings on a baby, but look at that movement speed as he pops the ghost. On the hunt was there from Jin Zhao, but not really needed. Twisted Fate was booking it.
Certainly was. So finally they moved back in, but have a look. There's only one pink ward. Caveman's about to place it in the pink, and that's not good enough. We've already seen time and time again that you need to have the one inside the pit, one outside of the pit, and one on the river to be able to sense the approach. Because Gangplank's level 6 right now. If he drops the ulti and gets one barrel in there, it's going to turn the team fight. Vici need to do a better job of getting vision around this Baron area if they ever want to be able to start it up.
Jin Zhao, however, actually feeling the pressure, has to go to a Last Whisper before that Infinity Edge, putting behind that power spike that you were talking about before.
Yeah, that really does hurt, especially given the fact that there's already two pretty big armor items on Long, so you can understand why he's going towards it. That's not what you want to be doing as a Sivir. You want to be able to hit the back lines.
Very dangerous. But you were talking about Long, and he did indeed complete the Guardian Angel. So that is terrifying. Is Gnar currently in Mega Form. Will transform back. I love that he chose Dino Gnar as well.
Yeah, I still wish that items appeared on champions, because you would know how stupid he really looks right now. The reason I say that is he's got these expensive boots, and then he's got a little crappy wooden shield, but they're going to use it to take the Baron.
Yeah, they're going to attempt to, as you can see the Bio-Arcane Barrage from Endless allowing him to do it over the wall. Cannon Barrage comes in, though. It's taken by Dandy. We'll see whether Ime can get anything from this. The Gangplank ult barely does anything, but Ime have corralled them. EasyHoon right in the pit here. Flashes over to join Endless. And Vici are going to be able to recollect themselves. Voidless now completely off to the side. Boomerang doing some work. But Vici have got themselves the Baron and are now on the offensive.
And you can see all the ultimates already burned, so Ime really can't afford to team fight. This is really strange. I mean, Ime, they had good vision. We were complimenting them on it, but they just have a 30-second lapse of judgment and not able to get it done. As now Tandy's running really quick.
He certainly is. Of course, update on Endless. Rageblade now completed as well for the third item. Few schools of thought. Of course, Blade of the Ruined King fairly popular as well to take up that slot, but I personally love the Gwinsus.
Well, the reason I prefer Gwinsus this time around is I'm 100% with Rusty if there is, Gragas and X-tanky top laner. However, right now, Bork just isn't going to give you the bang for the buck that you need. I mean, really, it is only
a Voidless
with any HP to his name. So I agree that the better offensive item, at least in this game, as Lung just walks past the barrel, I guess that's one way to juke it.
Yeah. And this inner turret is going to fall down. Big headbutt pulverize, and Jin Zhao's going to fall down. Road now struggling, but has the ultimate. The Voidless gets back, but look at the Chaos Storm slowing them down, doing so much work. Vici pick up the AD carry and now continue to push forward. Lung grabs the Mega Knife, just knocks Bamey away, but doesn't find the wallop. Massive headbutt pulverize again, though, from Caveman. This guy's got control, and the double kill comes down for Endless. They'll take down the inhibitor, and can they even win the game?
Yeah, they certainly can. A little bit of a whoopsie there for Lung, but as you said, the Cow more than willing to make up for the error. Ultimate is dropped out of Amazing J. They're trying to hold this one off.
Looking to try and clear out the minion wave at least, but you can see this Nexus turret still falling down. Amazing J full health, but not a lot of it, even at full, as EasyHoon comes down, demonstrates exactly that. And Road and himself now holding on. Vici looking to try and escape. Jin Zhao does respawn. I may hold on to their base at least, but it's in tatters.
Huge credit to Amazing J. So he is able to turn that one around. Got to give credit to Ime. I mean, they've held on for a little bit longer. One thing I will say is, Road, I really do like you on offensive supports, but the Taric to me has been severely lacking.
Yeah.
Not really doing all that much to save his 80 carry's life there, unfortunately. I just want to see him on something like the Thresh, something like the Alistar himself, because he really can... Bard.
Yeah, Thresh, really, Alistar, Bard. That's what Road looks fantastic on. Even the Braum he's able to make plays on, but just doesn't look the same when he's on picks like, Karma, like Tahm Kench, like Taric. Just hasn't been his wheelhouse, necessarily.
And, you have to say, whoa, as we go another little fight here.
Yeah, they do make it under the inner turret. But how safe are they as Road does make his way back through? Bastion Given to Amazing J. Sets up some barrels, but they are cancelled out. And now Amazing J has to flash his way out. Good dazzle as Lung at Meganar actually throws Road into the wall. Chaos Storm comes down and they get the pick. Jin Zhao still doing damage. A Voidless there as well. Still has a fair bit of CC. Gold card lands onto Dandy. Not too much of a problem as it's just the net inhibitor turrets that are being focused through. Amazing J has to run away from Lung. Inhibitor going to go down. And Vici just say, well, you can try and do whatever you can. We're not even going to take a fight. We're just going to kill your base.
Well, they're just so big on the front line, Atlas, that they really don't have to. Jin Zhao forced to flash away. Here we go.
Yeah, Cannon Barrage comes in. Good explosive cast as Caveman falls down, but it's just the support. Long still has his GA. Easy Hoon, lots of health. But I may once again repel the invasion.
So they actually get a very good pick one more time off of Voidless's great cask. I mean, splits the team, gets 2 people back in there, one of which was a cow that no longer had the ultimate, so a little bit squishier. But time and time again, we just see when Vici have ultimates, their front line is so threatening against what is pretty much a tankless lineup apart from a Voidless. And it's just coming back to bite them really hard. I mean, technically, Amazing J, you're massive at this stage of the game. I mean, he has so much flat penetration. 103, 350 CS, pretty much on the clock. Twisted Fate, also very big, 4 items. 5 item Twisted Fate. But the fact that, they're just able to get one member at the start, whether it's Road, whether it's Jin Zhao, and really swing the numbers in their favor, means that Vici is just coming up in trumps time and time again.
They just have so much late game damage as well on the side of Vici. Endless is so safe due to the fact that Dandy and Caveman are just these big bodies around him. That if I may, you mentioned 550 comp, well, Bioarcane Barrage is hitting from a lot further away than that. And I can do that mathematics, and it just seems like Endless feels untouchable.
Yeah, it just gets free damage, and we keep saying it, but the amount of peel in this team composition, safe peel as well. I mean, you have Meganar, you have the Alistar, you have all the slow that comes out of a Rylai's control mage.
Yeah, true.
This is why hyper carries were so popular around the Worlds patch, because, Rylai's control mage, Victor, Azir, it is so hard to get onto things like Twitch, onto Kog'Maw at the moment.
Well, right now you can see Vici working on their last remaining inhibitor lane. These super creeps are going to be pushing through. Dandy actually going to help them out as Aimee looking for the engagement. Cannon Barrage does trap them in here as Endless has been engaged on by Road. You can see Long finds his way into the backline. Jin Zhao's going to erupt as Baimi trying to kite around, but Dandy's found him, gets the knock up. Endless takes down Road there in the backline as a Voidless is now in trouble. Headbutt Pole once again. It is going to be a kill for Easy Hoon, and Vici will follow their minions and take down this Nexus.
And that was such a clean victory. I mean, credit to Aimee, their early game plan was very good. Camp out that bottom lane, but after about 18 minutes into the game, everything just fell apart. Vici were able to team fight with such precision and lay a CC. This huge front line was just absolutely unstoppable.
And they started so incredibly early, playing their style of game. It was a 20-minute Baron that they took as well, knowing full well that they had the Mountain Drake, they had the damage required, and Aimee would not be able to respond in time because they started that with a Destiny on top of their head. That takes some confidence.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, we keep going back to it, but these compositions just have so much inherent Baron damage at the moment. Baron just melts before something like a Kog'Maw. I mean, it's like when Malzahar comes out. Malzahar with Leandries absolutely destroys Baron at the moment. These picks are just so good, not only for what they bring to a team fight, to structure damage, they really do destroy neutrals incredibly quick. You have to respect it.
You most certainly do, but this was the first fight that Aimee managed to actually pick up some kills in. Was the double for Baimi, and we thought, yes, this looks like the Aimee we're used to seeing. Early pressure, snowball from there, but the snowball just never came.
This is actually where it turned around. I mean, that is just, a little bit of over-aggression from Road, and he needs to use the ultimate way earlier. That is so late for an ultimate to come through. It is not an instant cast. And then, too deep. Baimi, you need to calm down, mate. I mean, turret diving 1v2, especially when Alistar has his full combo available, is not going to work out for you.
Yeah, and what he wanted to do was kill the Kog'Maw, and he didn't even manage to achieve that. Just made a gigantic Gnar in the backline. And you mentioned the Taric not necessarily getting the work done. Well, once again, still not happening here for Road. We've seen some fantastic Taric play, often picked into the Vladimir to try and deny Hemoplagues. It wasn't this game, as Caveman, it makes up for Lung's mishap, you could say.
Lung and Amazing J actually had the most interesting game of top lane I've ever seen. I mean, neither of them were really as impactful as I guess they wanted to be, Atlas. But at the end of the day, Lung got it right one more time that maybe Amazing J did.
Yeah, and Amazing J did land like at least a few really, really good barrels, but they were mostly disengaged. They weren't the super impactful engage barrels that really get all of that damage done at the start of a team fight to bring things all about.
Yeah, exactly right. And then around that Baron Pit where they needed him to step up, just twice they were too late, not able to respond.
Yeah, unfortunate. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a best of 3 series, and we'll see whether IMA can fight back in game number 2 right after the break.